Next we move over to access specifiers. Now this access specifier is a new concept that we are going to see today, which is an implementation of two concepts in OOP. First is called encapsulation, the second is called abstraction. Now we have seen that C++ is a language which includes C with classes. Now what is the main concept of introducing this concept called class? Now this class, objects and access specifiers, all these three combine together to implement the concept called encapsulation abstraction, which are related to each other. Now the English term encapsulation, it means that a set of things are put together under one roof. Certain things that are related or certain things which have to work together to produce some result are encapsulated in one particular cover. So the same concept is applied here to this programming technique also. Objects, they encapsulate data members and member functions. Now we just now saw that a class contains data members and member functions, and objects are nothing but, a class is nothing but a set of objects which have the common structure and behavior. So when we say that member functions and data members are declared inside a class, it means every object that is created for the class has those data members and member functions. So the data members and member functions are belonging to that particular object. And all the data members and functions which are declared inside a class may not be used for the entire application. For some particular application, we may need certain functions. For example, in one particular program, you may need an application to write some text. Another function may be to print some text. Another function may be some mathematical calculations. Now, if you see, all these three may belong to the same program, but each of them is a different function. All these functions have to be declared, but all these will not be used for each application. So based on the application, that particular function and that particular variable has to be used. So though they are all under one cover, for a particular function, whatever is needed alone needs to be used. The rest of them need to be ignored so that we can save time as well as memory space. So that concept is only implemented using these access specifiers, and that implementation is only called encapsulation concept. So what is this abstraction? We have already seen what is an abstract superclass, what is an abstract data type. Abstract is nothing but whatever is essential for the programmer to know, or whatever is essential for a particular function to take place. Only those details are made available to that function or to that user. The rest of the details are hidden. So the concept of presenting the relevant information and hiding the rest of the information is called abstraction. So encapsulation is having all the necessary details in your particular control. Abstraction is among those details, whatever is necessary for the current application at hand, that alone you give it to the programmer or to the program. The rest of the details you hide it because it is not necessary for that function to take place. So by simply displaying it, you are only going to confuse the programmer as well as the system. Whatever is necessary alone, you make it known to that particular function, and whatever is not necessary, you hide it. So these are the concepts of encapsulation and abstraction, which are implemented using these access specifiers. So how these concepts are implemented, we will see now with the definition of access specifiers. So this is the technical definition of encapsulation: process of hiding all of the details of an object that do not contribute to its essential characteristics. An abstraction is denoting the essential characteristics of an object that distinguishes it from all other kinds of objects. So for a class, there may be a number of objects. All the objects will have access to the data members and member functions, but all the objects will not be requiring those data members and member functions. Whatever each object requires, you only make that available to that object, and you allow that object to use only those functions. That is only encapsulation and abstraction. Now what is an access specifier? So from the term access specifier itself, you can understand that access is when you want to lay your hand on something and use it. Specifying is nothing but the level of control. Now when you are going to take some particular object, you may be given the right to perform some operation with that object. All people cannot perform all the operations. Like if we have studied the Unix system, you will know that certain files have the read permission, certain files have write permission, certain files have execute permission. So for certain types of users only, those rights are granted. Some users will be allowed to read, write and execute some files. Some users will be allowed only to read some files, they cannot modify it. So the level of access that is granted to each user is specified by this access specifier. That is only the meaning of this term. It is used to determine whether any other class or function can access the member variables and functions of a particular class. So, in Unix we have seen about individual users. In this programming OOP technique, among the different classes itself, like I said, in a single program you may have 3 or more classes. So, among the different classes itself, to identify whether one class and its object can access the internal details of another class and another object is determined by this access specifier. This defines the boundary between the accessible and inaccessible parts of a class. And C++ supports 3 types of access specifiers.